Namaskar. In this eye-opening video, we reveal the truth about the observer is the observed from both yogic and scientific perspectives. Have you ever felt like you're watching life from a distance, as if you're an observer separate from the world? What if I told you that this separation is just an illusion, that the observer and the observed are actually the same? This concept, explored by philosophers, neuroscientists, and quantum physicists alike, challenges the very way we understand consciousness and reality. The moment you see through this illusion, your perception of yourself and the world around you changes forever. But how can we prove this scientifically? Let's dive into some experiments that reveal the strange, mind-bending relationship between the observer and the observed. The quantum observer. Effect: the act of watching changes reality. In quantum mechanics, one of the most famous experiments is the double-slit experiment. Here's how it works. When scientists fired tiny particles like electrons or photons through two slits, they expected them to behave like small bullets and create two distinct patterns on a screen. However, when no one was observing, the particles behaved like waves, creating an interference pattern, suggesting they were in multiple places at once. But here's where it gets weird. When scientists placed a measuring device to observe which slit each particle went through, the wave-like behavior collapsed, and the particles acted like tiny bullets again. What does this mean? It suggests that the very act of observation changes how reality behaves. In other words, when we observe something, we don't just passively watch. It seems like our consciousness plays a role in shaping what happens. Some interpretations, like the Copenhagen interpretation, propose that reality exists in a superposition of possibilities until it is observed. This means that the observer and the observed are fundamentally linked, just as Krishnamurti suggested. The rubber hand illusion. Your brain creates you. If you think that yourself, your sense of I, is separate from the outside world, think again. Neuroscience has shown that even your body's sense of ownership is just a mental construction. One of the most famous experiments proving this is the rubber hand illusion. Scientists placed a fake rubber hand in front of a participant while hiding their real hand behind a screen. Both the real and fake hands were stroked with a brush at the same time. After a while, the participant felt the rubber hand as if it were their own. Some even reacted in pain when it was hurt. What does this mean? This experiment shows that your brain constructs what it perceives as you. It integrates external objects into your body image based on sensory input. This challenges the idea of a fixed self separate from the world. If a fake rubber hand can become part of you, where do you actually begin and end? The Ganzfeld Experiment. Are you truly separate from others? Another experiment that blurs the line between the observer and the observed is the Ganzfeld Experiment, designed to test telepathic connections. One person, known as the receiver, was placed in a soundproof room with their eyes covered and exposed to white noise. Another person, called the sender, was shown random images or videos and asked to mentally send them to the receiver. The receiver then had to describe any mental images or feelings they experienced. Multiple studies found that receivers were able to correctly describe the images or concepts at a rate higher than chance, suggesting that human minds may be connected in ways we don't fully understand. While some scientists remain skeptical, these results point toward the possibility that consciousness isn't just in our heads. It might extend beyond us, linking the observer and the observed in ways we can't yet explain. We often think of identity as something solid, our name, background, personality. But what if identity is just another thought passing through the mind? Neuroscientist Anil Seth suggests that the brain constantly generates a model of reality, including the sense of self. This self is not a fixed entity, but an ongoing prediction that changes over time. In other words, the feeling of I is just another thought, one that appears and disappears like all others. The default mode network and the illusion of I neuroscientists have identified a brain network called the default mode network, DMN, which activates when we daydream, reflect on the past, or think about ourselves. Studies show that meditation and psychedelics quiet the DMN, leading to a feeling of losing the sense of self. Many who experience this report a deep realization. The self is an illusion. It was never real to begin with. This aligns with ancient spiritual teachings, which suggest that suffering comes from clinging to an identity that doesn't actually exist. Breaking free from the illusion. Once you see that the observer and the observed are one, everything shifts. Life becomes lighter, less stressful, more effortless. Here's how you can begin breaking free. Observe your thoughts without attachment. If you are not your thoughts, why cling to them? Watch them come and go like clouds in the sky. Question your sense of self. If identity is just a thought, then who are you beyond thought? Practice mindfulness or meditation. By quieting the mind, you can experience a state where the illusion of self disappears. Notice the present moment fully. The more you are present, the more the gap between observer and observed dissolves. What happens when you let go? So what happens when you truly let go of the illusion of self? Fear and suffering decrease because there is no you to protect. The mind becomes quieter. Thoughts arise, but you no longer identify with them. Life feels more effortless, as if things happen through you rather than to you. This is what many spiritual traditions call awakening, realizing that the observer was never separate from the observed to begin with. If the observer is the observed, then who are you really? Are you an isolated being, or are you inseparably linked to everything around you? The moment you realize this, everything shifts. Fear, anger, and suffering exist because of the illusion of separation. The moment that illusion breaks, you are free. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had an experience where the boundary between you and the world seemed to dissolve? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more mind-expanding content. See you in the next one. See you in the next one.